Happy Thursday to you. Thursday is my favorite day of the week because it's garbage day. And I always look at garbage day as that new beginning. Like, this is the day. This garbage day is the day that I'm going to get rid of a bunch of stuff I don't need, right? And usually I just get rid of the usual suspect stuff. So, but anyways, this is an unplanned live stream. If you missed this, you can catch it on a replay. And it was so unplanned that I didn't even title it. Like, and so the algorithms are confused. They're like, should we censor this? I don't know what this person's going to say. I think my content is suppressed anyways because they're just like this we just don't know what you're going to say, and because we just don't know what you're going to say, we're just going to suppress it or do whatever we need to do to make sure that whatever you say doesn't get to too many people, right? Because all you got to do is plant a few seeds, and then some people start thinking about what somebody else said. And this is really why they need surveillance and, to control narratives, because they understand that there can only be so many sowers of certain seeds, right? You know, and so they want to make sure that they're the ones planting the seeds so that everybody's confused and distracted and, you know, low comprehension on what is really happening. But anyways, this may not be an interesting conversation to probably a lot of men, but this is more of a conversation for my ladies. But if you want to be educated on a perspective, then stay tuned, if you check in. So I happened to catch a photo, and it was a black Olympian woman, a black woman. She was around my complexion, and she had this long blonde Rapunzel wig on, right? And then there was this white Olympic woman, and I'm not sure if this picture was AI, but I think the messaging is what I'm more interested in. Then they had a white woman, and she had on a kinky curly wig, and she was appropriating, black hair. She looked good. Okay? And that was my whole point. When I looked at the black young lady with the long blonde Rapunzel hair or whatever, the color did not match her. It did not make sense for her skin tone, even though I know that there are tribes in Africa with blonde hair and caramel skin. So it looked just okay for her. I'm sure she would have had a longer black wig that was straight and not black hair texture. She would have slayed, right? The white girl slayed with the black hair. And one thing I realized in looking at that picture is maybe the disdain, these cultural disdain, when it comes to the discussion of how black and white women wear hair, maybe the cultural disdain is that there are many white women that look better when they have blacker looking hair. It makes their face look better. And maybe that's the disdain. When my hair, the curlier my hair is, the more textured my hair is, the more versatile I can be with my hair. And therefore, it makes those white women look better, right? And a lot of white women desire to have more texture to their hair because they're trying to emulate something that they don't have. On the flip side, you have a lot of black women who, and some of us don't even have as much as I'm working with. And I got gray hairs. I have made an executive decision to be natural. And so I don't dye my hair. I'm embracing my grays, and I'm embracing my nappy roots. And I have headfuls of hair like this in my household. All of my kids have hair like this. And a lot of times, as black women, especially if we are on the go, we are in professional spaces where people, and I'm a financial advisor, I go to meetings, I wear my natural hair, and I demand for people to get used to the nappy roots, get used to the fro, right? And it's funny because I find that when I wear my natural hair, It is more intriguing for non-black people. They like it. It's a talk piece. They'll ask you things like management, what you do, and and I think when they see the our hair, how it stretches out and the length that it actually does have, it's a fascinating talk piece. And I think that a lot of black women in corporate spaces, we actually rob ourselves of those discussions. And I think that there are some people that be around us that really want to have it because it's an intrigue. And it's not even that and then you find that these people actually wish that they had hair like you. So I think that when you see these discussions of women's hair and how they're wearing hair and cultural appropriation, I think at the end of the day, it boils down to a woman is going to style herself in a way that makes her feel the most confident. So if a black woman feels more confident wearing, European style hairstyle, if that's more manageable for her, then she's going to do that. You know what I mean? And nobody should dictate to her how she wears her hair. I know black women who wear their nappy roots, but I also know black women who can't stand this look. It's unfathomable for them to walk around with their hair in their a ponytail. That's their natural hair texture. It needs to be slayed. I have not pressed my hair, permed my hair in years. I have not put chemicals in my hair in years. I have not put pressing combs or blow dryers in my hairs for years. And let me tell you, my hair has grown like wildfire. My hair is very healthy. I put rosemary in it. I use rain I use rainwater in it. I don't even use tap water in my hair. And I say that to say that, when you learn how to take care of your natural hair, it's not really a burden. You can rock some really cute, natural styles, if you learn how to style your natural hair. And I think that is the biggest challenge for a lot of black women. It's just divorcing these European standards of how we should be wearing our hair, demanding that people understand that my hair is done. It's just in its natural form. And I'm not trying to look like a European and I'm not trying to look like you, right? You got to set these tones for people, right? Demand that society understand who you are authentically, and my hair does not look like yours. And if in order for me to have my hair look like yours, I'm going to have to process it. And I don't want to do that because it damages the hair long term. So I say this to say that these hair arguments, they're interesting because I'm looking at black women wear European style. It's like that sister looks good. She's slaying that European hairstyle. But then I look at these white women wearing, afro styles because they like the textured look in their hair, and I'm like, that bitch is slaying too. And you can't call one cultural appropriation without calling the other. Some of this is not even appropriation. I think it's appreciation. It's I would look better if my hair was like that, kind of thing. So what's going on, William? If you follow this channel, you guys know I literally get my point out before I start engaging in the comments because I don't know what kind of ignorant folks are in these comments. And I'm not trying to have the devil throw me off track. So, what's going on, William? What's going on, Sam? What's going on? Wait, I see you guys. Just kind of talking about a photo that I saw. There was like two scenarios of a black woman with long blonde hair, and then there was a white woman with kinky, like she had on a kinky afro, and it said is for the black girl is cultural appreciation, but for the white girl they had cultural appropriation. And as I'm looking at this picture, I'm divorcing the message of appreciation and appropriation, and I'm just looking at the two women, and I'm like, well, they both look good, right? That white girl rocked that afro real cute. And there's a lot of white girls that will look cute in the afro and they know that, right? But they're afraid, right, to texturize their hair like that because they don't want to be disrespectful to a culture of black women who have continuously appropriated their hairstyles But again, I would say that white women are always going to appropriate the black woman's style because of appreciation. Black women have been conditioned to appropriate the European hairstyle, to not like her natural hair. Because again, when you look at societal projections of the black woman's hair, it's always having negative connotation. It's nappy. You know what I mean? Y'all bald headed. And it's like, I swear these people are ignorant, right? And they think that it's so funny. Have you ever seen a woman take down a hair weave on YouTube? Like she took down some braids. And one thing you'll realize is that these women have incredibly long, thick hair underneath those wigs and braids. And again, the psychological aspect to that is, why are you adding hair to your hair? Now, some women will like, well, my hair only caps at a certain length and I want it to be longer. I can understand that, right? But then when it's an all the time thing, when you can never wear your natural hair, I've seen women cut off their natural hair so that their wigs can fit better. You're talking about a person who has good texture hair. If it was taken care of, it would grow, it would have this decent length, and they will cut off their hair just so their fake hair can fit better on their head. And there is a weird psychology and perplexity when I see that, because I really don't understand what's going on here. You can't be buying into convenience that much that you are destroying what is natural to make what is unnatural and chemically laced with a lot of these hair products and even down to the extensions. You know, you're taking out your natural for the chemicals. It's just what's going on, Ghetto Planet? I see you. We're talking about just the hair conversations of women. You know what I mean? And I only focus on the conversations between women, because if I start talking about the male opinion of women's hair, to me it's a little bit off, because honestly, to me, men don't have an opinion when it comes to women's hair. You either pick the women that you like. So if you like a woman who is, quote, natural, and even then with some of these black men, their mindset of, I like a woman with her natural hair, but it needs to be pressed and processed, right? A lot of black men don't realize that even their mindsets of the black woman's hair, nappy headed bitch, right? All of this shit, right? They don't really like the black woman's natural hair either. I'm not saying all of them, but many of them, when they say natural, they mean that I need to go to the salon and I need to have somebody flat iron this for me, right? Because they are like, I want to rub my hands through your hair. Well, you ain't about to do that with no tight kinky curls, sir. So you're really saying that you want your woman to have European hair. You want her hair to be like the European. So I think a lot of men need to be very realistic, that when they're, especially when they're lamenting about black women wearing wigs and weaves and all this shit like that, emulating European hairstyles, right? Some of that is social conditioning from them, because even if they were their natural hair, it's not long enough, or it needs to be pressed and straightened like a European. So again, I think that Madam CJ Walker, she taught black women how to manage their hair, but I think she also conditioned black women to believe that European hairstyles was the model for good hair. And so I think that psychology just trickled down. And I know a lot of black women who are on a natural hair journey, and it's hard. It is really hard. I mean, I didn't document my journey, but I would have never thought that I would be on camera looking like this. Like, I would not like think that. Like, but do I feel like I look bad? No, because it's like my hair is only a part of the style. I still need, and I'm not like fully made up or done up or anything like that. But I'm like, the hair can make the style. And so for me, my natural hair has really become a part of my style. And, I will, braid it up, stretch it out if I want to. But I actually like my natural hair in its natural form, which is very shrunken. Like, it's my hair, it just, the shrinkage is just unreal. And if I wanted to just make my hair longer all the time, I would just need to process it all the time. And that's what I don't want to do. You know what I mean? I want to just rosemary oil, rainwater, avocado oil, and put it up, make sure we detangle, we have our detangling times, and just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. And I will say that that has not hurt me. The proliferation of wigs have been fascinating. I remember when wearing a wig outside of entertainment and costume was a bit strange. I mean, in black culture, right, you see like Tina Turner, right? It like wearing wigs was taboo until you saw the entertainers wearing it, and whatever entertainers do pretty much trickle into the culture. So I think that wigs and weave, for women, as a way to kind of look good for that man. And even a lot of the men back then, it surely looked good. Surely looked good. He didn't care if she had was bald headed underneath there. Some of the men care, right? But they just wanted a good looking woman on their arm, right? And so, however you achieve that, baby, you achieve that. Just make sure when we go out that I look like the man, right? Because you looking good. And that's how the old folks kind of thought about it, back then. But the evolution of the wig culture has been very, very interesting to me. um, because I think that wigs and weaves, when I was growing up, they were either, obvious because of the sculpting, because we did a lot of sculpted ponytails and gel and all that stuff, you know when I was coming up. Or, wigs wasn't really a thing for me growing up. It was always the hair weaves. Like, the girls had, we added tracks to our hair to have length. Most of the times, we did the sew-ins, and then that went from the glue, and then, there was all kinds of ways to start quick weaving, and then the wigs came in. The evolution of the wig with the lifelike scalp, I feel like that really just changed the game for a lot of women. The minute they started putting lifelike scalps on the wigs, you know what I mean? Like, this dude like did a video, like he was like, man, and this is right when the lace fronts were just getting bumping. He was like, oh my God. He was like, they not just taking these other bitches' hair anymore. He said they're taking the whole scalp. And he had this whole lace front wig, and it looked like the person had de-scalped somebody or whatever. And this is when lace fronts first came out. And I think the evolution of the wig to the lace front, it changed the game for a lot of people, because it's like, now I don't have to do a lot of that blending, all that extra stuff. I can just put this on, you know, tighten up the edges or whatever they do. And this can look like it's coming straight from my own scalp, right? That changed the game. That changed the game. And from then on, you could be whatever you want it to be. All right. You could be whoever you want it to be. You could put on that red lace front. It looked like you got red coming out of your scalp. Mom wore one when she lost her hair during cancer treatment during work in local. I mean, when you think about wigs, back in excuse me, back in the day, wigs were worn by older women. Like, you really didn't see a lot of younger women wearing wigs. Like, wigs were really an older woman thing. Your aunties, like your mom, because again, they're going through menopause. And so they're going through all kinds of hormone changes. Their hair is kind of getting thin and falling out, or getting weird and weaker. Shout out to my women going through perimenopause. That bitch. All right. That bitch. Right. you know, Praying for the strength. Keep your herbs and your teas up because perimenopause is a bitch. It really is. And I fucking hate her. I think I hate her more than Unflow. But anyways, it's like it was just an older woman thing. I mean, my mom wore wigs, my auntie wore wigs, but like my cousins, they wore like weave, you know what I mean? Ponytail extensions, right? They weren't wearing wigs. Like wigs were taboo, but when they evolved the wig to look like it's coming straight from the scalp, that changed the game. And so that brought a lot of the younger women from the weave market into the wig market. You know what I mean? And it's crazy because wigs have, been a protective style in the past for a lot of women's hair. But because of the install techniques of a lot of these wigs, you'll see a lot of women, their edges don't start until like back here. You know what I mean? Like they're missing edges like all around their hairline because of how the chemicals in these um, solutions that they're putting to make sure that the wig stays on their head. You know what, like I want to be able to go through 12 rounds of fighting other bitches and my wig still stay on. That's like, and that requires a lot of chemicals around here, and that is why you see a lot of women who don't have a hairline. They're missing edges to their hair because they're using all those chemicals on their hair, you know? And again, people do what they want to do. I think people do what they're comfortable doing. For me, I have felt like my hair has liked me better just leaving it alone and just embracing it. I'm 43, right? I'm 43. So I don't I think my baddie days are over. Kind of past that era in my life. I'm auntie now, right? And so I feel like once you get into the auntie category, I mean, honestly, you really do have flexibility because you are kind of more one in yourself, anyways. You've evolved, you've accepted, life and yourself, you've learned. And so you learn to be unapologetically you. And I think when you're unapologetically you, you still end up attracting the right people in the end of the day. So, I'm auntie now, so I can run around with my natural hair and not really care, about what people think because, they don't pay my bills. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? If you don't pay my bills, I don't really care, what you think. And even if you did, if you have some unfounded thoughts, I really wouldn't care. But, anyways, you guys, I need to drink some coffee. I feel like I'm getting sick. Like I really do. And I don't feel like the weather has slightly changed, but I do feel like I'm getting like some kind of bug. Like I'm stuffy, but I could have left the air conditioner on. I did leave the air conditioner on last night. I did. I woke up really cold. I should not do that again. But anyways, you guys, life be like that. Well, Ghetto Planet, it's good to see you. And now that I know that a morning chat is the surest way for you and I to catch up, I will try to pop some more on you guys. But let me know what you guys think about the argument of, the hair wars of women. And again, this was inspired because I'm looking at this picture. And again, you have this black woman with this long blonde Rapunzel hair and the white girl with the afro, and for the black girl they go cultural appreciation question mark, and then for the white girl they said cultural appropriation. And again, for me, I removed all of those titles and I looked at the fact that the white girl looked fucking great with the wig, with the African wig or the afro wig, and the black girl looked okay with the blonde wig. I mean, the reason why she didn't look good, all the way good. She wasn't rocking it as well as the white girl with the black girl wig, is because I feel like brown skinned women, when your natural hair is 1B or B black, and we're wearing platinum blonde hair, I mean, to me, we look like Black and Miles. We look like to me, I look like that woman looks like a Black and Mild. She looked like somebody should just smoke her. She just looked like smokable, like you should split her in half and just put something in her. Like she looks like I don't like seeing dark women with blonde hair. I mean, highlights is fine, but just all blonde hair, it just looks stupid. Like this ain't no Lord of the Rings for black people. Get the fuck out of here with this shit. It looks stupid. It just looks stupid to me. I don't like seeing dark skinned women with blonde hair. I don't. It's ugly to me. It looks like alien, foreign. Even if you work the makeup, it's just fucking ugly. Black women that wear blonde hair, it's just ugly. It's just ugly. It looks weird. Blonde highlights, fine, but all blonde, like you look like a Black and Mild to me. You just really do. You do. But that goes for a lot of these colorful hair too. I mean, they just look ridiculous to me. I feel like we need to kind of get back to some level of natural. Um, I would defer black women to our sisters from the 90s. They didn't do all that weird ass shit and they look good. They look classic, right? Some of y'all look like clowns. Like newer generations of black women, they look like clowns. They done bought into the prescription of ignorant blackness. So, obviously by default, they are programmed not to give a fuck. And that's fine. That's fine. But, again, these women, we're not gonna take you seriously. And you don't have a right to demand it. You look like a clown and you're going to get treated like a clown. And most of these women who be running around with all these colorful fucking wigs, they are being clowned. They are running around like like a C-rag clown for a lot of these men. Bopping weird as clowns. There's something about the more colorful the wig, the more Jezebel the woman is in her mindset, the more unstable she is in her mindset. It's no different than the white liberal with the colorful hair. There's something about an individual with colorful hair and it's just retarded looking. It's not even a natural hair color. There's something off with that person, right? We know you want to be seen. That is for sure. You want to be seen, right? But there's something else going on in there. There is something else going on in there. So I pray for people, with these little wacky styles. Like if you're not in like arts or something like that, and I don't know, get back to the 90s black women, let's get back to our natural 90s classic looks, all right? And that could be, natural hair with a beautiful dress on, suitable dress, Nia Long, 1990s, right? Some of our beautiful sisters, Vivica Fox, before she did all that shit to her face, right? Classic 90s ladies. Let's get back to that. Like Waiting to Exhale, some of those ladies in that film, right? Classic 90s looks. Let's get back to the classic 90s look for black women. It is sexy, it is graceful, and obviously, if you have a sexy and graceful look, you need to have a sexy and graceful character. And so, I mean, everything is a stepping stone, ladies. Let's just start by getting back to our natural hair, right? First things first. All right. It's you said it. You said you're gay. Well, hey, that's really more important to you than anybody else. Are you a decent person outside of your gayness? Like y'all really be wearing y'all sexuality on your sleeves and wanting other people to care and embrace it. You need to embrace having a great character and being a decent person before your sexuality. All right? Let's start with your character, not your sexuality. Anybody that leads with their sexuality or their race, we already know you're a loser type of person with low value, and you don't know how to lead with yourself. You don't like yourself. You have not actualized yourself. So you're leading with some artificial aspect of yourself, like your gayness or your race or your gender. Nobody gives a fuck about that. How marketable are you? How valuable are you? All right. Lead with that. Lead with that. All right. I have a allergy to people who lead with things that are unvaluable to me, and your race, gender, and sexuality are not valuable to me. So I don't care about them. What is your market value? Please and thank you. Okay. Please and thank you. Don't come over here leading with no bullshit, because you're going to get the bullshit back. I think the unfortunate truth about humans is culture doesn't really revert. It collapses, resets due to natural hardship. Absolutely. I think, when you start keep doing the things that don't work well, you can't help but go back to the things that did work well. And, I think about, what worked well in American society, for example, when I was growing up. And so what worked well in my society is I didn't know my neighbor's political position. Um, we didn't talk about it, right? You just went, you did your thing. People make assumptions. Maybe you put it on your sleeve by putting a little sign in your yard, but I didn't really grow up with a lot of political signs in my yard either. You know what I mean? Religion, politics were just things that you did not talk about because they were personal. They have nothing else to do with anybody else, right? As long as everybody was staying in their lane, minding their own damn business, right? Society was pretty functional. Now we have this open society, right? They want the open society. That's where we are right now, where everything is surveilled. Everybody wears their emotions and dispositions on their sleeves, and everybody is forced to care about aspects about other people that really don't, they're irrelevant to anything, right? Like when you think about the amount of effort and money for quote trans rights, and then you peel back the layer of the fucking argument and you're like, trans people are, if they're taxpayers, they got the same damn rights as everybody else. And then when you think about what they're talking about as their rights, you really kind of understand that these are not rights, these are entitlements, and they are conflating entitlements with rights, you know? And if you get enough people doing that, it conflates the public's mind that these people are not having rights. And it's like, no, they want entitlements, right? Like, like for example, they they in some states, like if a woman gives birth to a child and they find marijuana in the child's system, it would not, or whatever, that is a CPS case, right? Like for some reason, the state is just so interested in what's in the child system at birth, right? And that's automatically a CPS case. But in the same conversation, though, these people are enabling 2 year olds, 5 year olds to start taking gender hormones so that they can satisfy the mental illness of one of their parents. Like when I see a woman trying to turn her son into a girl, that woman wanted a girl and got a boy, and she hates that she got a boy. And so, what is she going to do? Psychologically manipulate that child into believing that it is a girl, raise it as a girl, right? And so, again, by conditioning, that poor little boy had never had a chance to be a normal little boy because his mom was all fucked up, and she started transitioning him, and that is okay for these people. Like that Jazz Jennings situation is sad to me. Jazz never had a choice. Jazz never had a choice because the psychological conditioning happened so damn early. And this is what these people do. So yeah, there's all kinds of conditioning happening in society right now. People are buying into those prescriptions of conditionings, and this is where you see a culture of dysfunction. It's almost like the Canaanites descendants, the bloodlines of evil who run the world today with their Edomite and Gentile losers. Um, it's almost like they're really trying to create the scenario of ancient Canaanite culture. And we see ancient Canaanite culture manifested throughout history since antiquities, but it's so reoccurring in the patterns of the culture that when people say, well, the United States is like Sodom and Gomorrah, of course it is, because Canaanite culture bloodlines of people are actually making decisions in this country, and they're normalizing their wickedness and their dysfunction. Nobody goes harder for abortion and gay culture like Canaanite descendant people. And that's just 100 because it's in their blood. And again, when you guys, I wrote a whole article about this. First of all, Noah did not curse Ham, he cursed Ham's son Canaan. Okay. And Canaan is the father of the Canaanite nations, the Hivites, right? Moabites, the Phoenicians. Those are all Canaanite nations, bloodlines of people. And again, we know that they're Canaanites because they have the eagle Achilles nose, right? And so when you go into Greek and Roman culture, there's no such thing as a Greek nose or a Roman nose. That is the Canaanite nose, okay? And these are the individuals, these are the bloodlines that influence the cultures, and their influence is going to be based off of what is inherent in them, which is anti God cultures. And that's what we have today, unfortunately. Natural hardship includes natural selection. When society culture collapses, survivability becomes the most important. The irrelevant is quickly cast off. Absolutely. I mean, I think that they have created generations of distracted and stupid people. And the problem with that is, when you have generations of distracted and stupid people, you also have generations of people with very low value and people who are starving to find value in a society that they perceive demands them to have some level of value. And this is where they become leverageable to military operations. Nobody is better suited for military operations than an idiot because you can condition them. You can give them some false sense of being a hero and have them going out there just like a lemming. And so I think that's why they need the next generation, stupid, uneducated, whatever, is because they're going to militarize a lot of those young people. You know, they're looking at, they're building the case to have open drafts. They're going to militarize. Like, this is truly going to be a military surveillance state. And, welcome to the beast system, And, I would say keep your prayers up. And if you're in covenant, just let it play out. But those who know, they knows. I know that's right. Follow the nose like Toucan Sam. Toucan Sam, I feel like that was a subliminal message to us. Follow my nose. And the toucan, like, okay, I see what you're saying, Sam. Follow that nose throughout history. And you are going to find rebranded groups of people with the same bloodlines. All right. Regrant and it's so funny that we were talking about this because in Michigan right now we have a candidate that's running for the Senate seat, Abdul Al Sayed, and I'm looking at Abdul Al Sayed, and he said that he's Egyptian, and definitely got that from his nose. There's so ancient Egyptians, especially individuals, who have some level of Hotep blood in them. Um, there's a reoccurring marker of their nose that usually it's happening on the right side that I've seen that it reoccurs. And I study DNA from the patterns of faces from antiquities in different areas. So yeah, he has. You could tell he definitely has like those Egyptian bloodlines in him. But there is another bloodline that I'm kind of peeping there in Abdul Al Sayed. And again, you know, we shall see how these people play out. But again, I like. I'm just trying to study this guy a little bit more because I mean I'm like, you know, like I just said, like if you followed my post before, and this is no stab, this is just straight genetics, right? This is just bloodlines of people that reoccur. The facial features are so prominent and they reoccur, the patterns don't lie. And so, if you follow my content when I'm talking about ancestry, you guys know that I use the table of nations from the book of Genesis, and I look at just the conquering of people, migration of people, all kinds of things, race mixing or nation mixing. I look at all of that, right? And so, for example, Bad Bunny, right? He says that he's Puerto Rican, right? And when I look at Bad Bunny, right, I see a person that is from that nation, but bloodlines come out of his facial features, right? Same thing with Cardi B. She's what, Dominican, but both of them have bloodlines of Canaanites in them, right? You put Tracy Ellis Ross, Canaanite descendant. And so if you put all of them next to each other, they'll damn near look like cousins or relatives because they have the same bloodline and reoccurring patterns from that bloodline creeping through their face. So with Arabs though, it's a little different, right? Because yeah. So I'm watching, like, I have to just really take the time to study his face a little bit more, but I'm also going to be studying his behaviors because, again, those people are very deceptive. They, Canaanite descendants, have a track record of infiltrating races, creating new races of people. And just like that one dude that was from Iran, that Shah of Iran, I posted like a couple of months ago. I'm like, you won't find a Persian man in antiquities with a nose like that. You will find a man whose bloodlines were infiltrated by a certain other bloodline that would have a nose like that, even if he claims to be Iranian or Persian. Because the nose does not reoccur from their bloodlines, and I provide examples of that. So this is a deep conversation. I don't want to get too deep. I'm going to get off here, but you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Again, this was a random live stream. Shout out to Ghetto Planet. um what did you say, Marcus? Sweden be civilized for, yeah, whoever, yeah. Can you say ask? I'm not sure what you're saying there, but anyways, if you study Khazaria infiltration, look at those Khazars. They have the Canaanite nose. All right. Look at Martin Luther. Canaanite knows. He was a self hating Canaanite. He understood the bloodline that was within, right? Hitler had his nose redone because he was self hating. He understood the bloodline within, all right? The Habsburgs, look at the Canaanite nose of the men, all right? That is a bloodline signature. It will never go away. And again, I talked about the curse on Canaan from the Bible. It was beyond servitude. It was beyond servitude. Number one, the descendants of Canaan were cursed with lighter skin that could not be in that area. So they, like, as opposed to the Canaanites insisting on being in that area, they should have continued on to Europe because they were not going to have the complexion to be in that area. This is why from back in antiquities there's a indicators of skin cancers among the Canaanite populations of people because they should not have been in that area. They were cursed not to be in that area. And then their curse actually went beyond the servitude, beyond their flesh. It was also the nose. Descendants of Ham, they are fixed at the nose. And because Canaanite descendants are also descendants of Ham, that Canaan, Ham was Canaan's father, right? They are fixed at the nose. Canaanites are, Nubians are, ancient Egyptians are, even with Arab infiltration, they are fixed at the nose, and the patterns don't lie from antiquities down to today. No matter how much nation mixing and conquering, the patterns are consistent. So, anyways, you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Happy Thursday to you, and I will catch you on the next one. You're always going to at least get some perspective that you can go out and research yourself and start looking at these patterns that, like I do. I don't know if your brain works like mine or not, but start looking at the patterns of things, and they do not lie. And sometimes you can know more about things and people just by following the patterns. So have a good day, and I'll catch you on the next one. Love your neighbor as yourself. If you would not disrespect or abuse yourself, do not disrespect or abuse your neighbors.